MVP.
It's one in the air, left center field, back it goes. Harper, the swing of his life.
We never get ahead of himself. As
I know rent do every day. It's always been that way for me. Always been a get better mentality every day, grow every day, be a better leader every day, be a better quarterback every day. And when that rent's due, I don't plan on missing no payments. So.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to 3 in the Keystone, episode 96. Chris Guess, Al Ryan, and myself, Adam Seltzer, here for you for another night of podcasting. Gents, we made our agenda for tonight, and we did not include those fighting Phils, so I at least wanted to give a shout-out to pulling off the sweep of the San Francisco Giants, the best record in baseball.
4-game sweep.
4 games for the wraparound series. I
Paul.
was down at the ballpark earlier. I was telling Al before we came on, the 4 o'clock Monday start, what a dream game to go to. You could put in like a full day work, drive down there. I was home at 8:30. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, you don't hit traffic on the way there. I mean, a little bit, but you're not fighting, work traffic, rush hour traffic.
Beautiful night to watch a game. And I'll tell you what, man, they're playing some good ball. Giants, not exactly. That Giants lineup is pretty sad.
Don't they have Yastrzemski's kid?
They'd be better off putting Carl in the lineup too.
Ern's jumping the gun here. Players that wore 96. Let's go, Ern. What do you got?
Ern, give us a chance, Ern.
All right, before we get into that, allow me to play the heel roll again. All right, because I got to get some off my chest.
Oh, boy.
And Seltzer, I know you're not going to like this because you were just there. But I was just talking to somebody literally on like Friday or Saturday about the problem I have with games with the pets. Because the bottom line is, you may like a dog, you may have a dog, but everybody in that stadium doesn't have a dog or like a dog. And I feel like you're putting a lot of people in a bad spot. Because what if the dog, if you got an allergy or whatever, you got your seat next to that picture you sent with that giant beast that was there. Like, what if you got to sit next to that? Yeah, I'm not trying to get involved with that.
So let me counter. And the event tonight, you bought a separate ticket outside of the Phillies, and the dogs were in 3 sections of the stadium.
Okay, so that's good.
So they were segregated amongst themselves in the 300 level right field.
All right,
I didn't see a dog in person. Outside of the stadium, I saw like 3 or 4, but inside the stadium, I didn't see one dog the entire time.
All right, so that makes me feel, because I'm looking at, like, especially I think it's the White Sox that have one every year that there's like, and I'm like, there's dogs everywhere. Like, what if you're not into dogs? You go to these games.
Yes, I'll say this too, as somebody that's allergic to dogs. I don't hate dogs. I like dogs. I hate that I'm allergic to them. But when you're talking about a 162 game season, 81 home games, you got to do anything you can to get people to come to the ballpark on a
Monday afternoon game.
So I don't mind it. I wouldn't go, right? If I was a season ticket holder, I would just sell my ticket tonight.
Well, now here's the thing: do you do the dog game or do you do the summer camp game?
What's the summer camp game?
The summer camp game or games are like during the summer when they have like those, like the old business person specials when they're like the middle of the week and all the camps go. Now the problem I have with that is, as someone that's been there for those games outside of the camp and someone that's been there with the camp, you don't see the whole game.
Yeah,
you leave at 3 o'clock.
Well, just wait, guess. You know how many games I've been to in the last 3 years with my kids, and I've seen maybe 2 innings of the game.
Man, that's a big pet peeve of mine. But I know I'll get over it.
Do you only see 2 innings because your kids have you running around, or because you have to leave?
No, because I got to run around. So we go to the seats. Like initially, we sit for an inning, and then we're up and moving.
Well, it's going to be even worse now. The game today was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
So you're seeing even less.
Yeah, that's perfect, though. I like that.
Oh, I like it, too. I'm just saying, if you're running around with your kids, or if you're 20 minutes late, you can get there bottom of the second already.
Yeah.
So Sarah and I have already talked about when that happens, especially with being two girls that we have, 2 twin girls. I'm like, you know what? The first time that they go whenever that is, when they're old enough to know what they're doing. Walk around with them. We'll do whatever we got to do so they get the full experience. After that, next time and therefore and thereafter, he's watching the game. If mom wants to take you around wherever, then that's on you. But daddy's watching the game.
You say that. Let me know how
daddy watch the game. We can watch the game together. If you want to walk around and hit the wiffle bat and all that stuff, you can go with mommy and do all that.
Let me know how that works out for you guys.
Now, listen, I had a conversation with Megan. I don't think it'll hold up. She asked like when the first time we'll take the baby. I said it has to be potty trained before we take him to the stadium. That's my rule.
Oh yeah. Listen, so last week Thursday night at Game 6. It was a 9:00 start, and on the camera at one point there's a woman that has a baby. My first Sixers game. Baby's probably like 6 months old. CYS should have been called. What the hell you got a baby? First of all, it's loud as all hell in this place. So for a kid, that's overwhelming as it is. And then it's a 9:00 start. like 9:00 for a 5-month-old.
Yes, don't be raising those girls in no bubbles. Let them experience.
No, man, no. But that like the regular time of the game, whatever, is one thing. But a 9:00 start on top of the noise and everything else, we're not even a year old yet.
So what if you had been to every Sixers game the entire season, and Game 6 you had no baby coverage, and your only option was to bring the baby to the game? You've been to every game.
I mean, look, they'll probably choke before that anyway. They always do. That won't even be an issue. But we'll be trying to find. We'll have the big magnifying glass out trying to find Paul George. Where's he been at the whole series?
All right. Speaking of which, we'll get into. I'm going to side with Ern here. I have number 96. I got Clyde Simmons as well. One of the most pronounced Eagles defensive players of all time. I also have the Rocket Pavel Bure as a second tier.
Long time Canuck, right?
Yeah, big time Canuck.
Was he a Red Wing at one point or a Panther?
He bounced around towards the end.
Yeah.
Is he married to Kornikova, right?
No.
He was.
Yeah.
Pavel Bure is married to Candace Cameron.
Oh, yeah, that might be right.
I'm looking it up now.
That's right. You're right, guys.
Who's married to Kornikova?
Another hockey player.
Probably Vladimir Putin.
Real quick, my 96. I didn't look up a player. It's the 96 NBA draft. That's the GOAT 96 right there. I mean, you guys could have probably done it in your heyday too. I used to be able to name the first like 15, 20 picks. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, obviously, because with Iverson and Kobe and Ray Allen and all those guys.
Marbury, Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Camby.
84 and 96 and 03 are top three. Yeah. Looked at as by most pundits as the top 3 drafts in the NBA of all time.
A sleeper in that 96 draft in the second round, Jeff McInnes. The UNC product.
One of the worst drafts was that 2000 or 2001 with Desmond Mason and
Eddie Curry or Tyson Chandler.
It was a lot of hot garbage in that draft. That'd be a whole nother segment for another time. We'll go over that.
When we get to episode 2001, we'll do it, guys.
One fact for you guys, and then one question. Anna Kournikova was married to Sergei Fedorov in that.
That's who it was. Yeah.
Short period of time.
They still together?
No, they're not. She's married to Enrique, right? Is that what it said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they're still together. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And can either of you name there's 2 Phillies who wore number 96 somewhat recently, both relievers. I'm going to give you Neftali Feliz. That's one of them. But the other one, maybe known for being a little heavy set.
Ugueth Urbina?
No, more recent.
Antonio Fonseca?
Dark ages of Phillies baseball, like 2016-ish.
I'm out.
They were a closer or they were just
he closed a little bit.
I forgot Feliz was on our team.
Me too.
So,
actually, how many games he pitched? It says 2021. He pitched 2 games for the Phillies. 1 inning, 4 runs.
In 2021?
Huh?
In 21?
Yeah.
Wow.
The other one was that Tommy Hunter.
Oh.
Tommy Hunter was all right.
Yeah, he was whatever. That was the dark ages.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of the dark ages, let's get into it, boys. Sixers lose the series to the Knicks 4-2. We can sit here and we can talk about it, but obviously, everybody's digested it to this point. I don't think there's a ton more to say. I did want to give you guys the opportunity, if you wanted to talk a little bit about Game 5, the Tyrese Maxey shot, the emotions that went along with that. I don't know if you have anything to add. Like I said, I feel like we've lived it ad nauseum to this point. It feels like it happened 3 years ago. But anything you guys wanted to just kind of touch on in that game before we jump into the offseason?
I'll just say that I'm not gonna backpedal on what I've said about Joel Embiid for the last couple of years here. Ultimately, it still rests on his shoulders, but I will say that people that say he doesn't have any heart and that he's gutless and all this crap, they got to take that and go home. That's a bad take these days. The dude does play through a lot of injuries. Now, whether it's smart to play through them or not, that's a different argument. But he does try. I thought he tried his ass off this series, but ultimately he still can't get us over the hump, whether it's because of those injuries or not. Because at the end of the day, if you would have said, or if you say right now, who's the better basketball player, Joel Embiid or Jalen Brunson, you're going to say Joel Embiid, but Jalen Brunson just did what we've been waiting for Joel Embiid to do for 8 years, and he took his team to the next round of the playoffs. He put them on his back, averaged 40 a game those last 4 games. And just he willed them to victory. And Chris, you said it all along. They weren't the better team, but they played like the better team. So I got to give the Knicks credit in that sense as well.
And let me ask you this though, Al. I agree. Joel, especially Game 6, had a good game. I thought he got tired at the end of the game, but I think that your take is a completely different take if Tyrese Maxey doesn't make those shots at the end of Game 5, because in Game 5, Joel Embiid was trash for the majority of it. With the exception he did play well in overtime, but that doesn't happen without Tyrese Maxey.
No, I totally agree with that. I just think that maybe I'm just feeling bad for Embiid, dude, because of all the shit, man. Like, he went through it this series.
Physically, he gives you what he can. Like, I agree with you. Like, physically, I wouldn't say he's not tough. Physically, I do question his mental toughness a little bit, but we've gone through that. I don't want to have it be another Embiid circus like it's been the last few weeks. So I'll rest my case, and then we'll.
I just want to say before we go on the next point, when we talked about before, Al, you just said it again with the Knicks. You said they may not have been the better team, but they played like it. I guess what are you saying, in Game 6 or in this, or what are you
in the series in general? The Knicks played like the better team.
So I think they played with more passion. That's for sure. On the glass and things like that. But the Knicks only outscored the Sixers in 6 games by a point. I mean, it was one of the closest series that you can possibly have, with 2 of the biggest, best markets you could possibly have. Unfortunately, we came out on the wrong end of it. But if we won Thursday night and went to 7, win or loss, that would have been maybe a top 5 series, playoff history. Definitely one of the best, if not the best, first round series.
Yeah.
But this wasn't meant to be. It wasn't in the cards for us.
Yeah, I think I agree, Chris. The series was absolutely fantastic, and I think the game that we need to look back on, obviously Game 2 had its issues, but to me it's Game 4, because as you look back on it in retrospect, these 2 teams were so evenly matched. Every game came down to the wire. To ask a team in this series to win 3 games in a row, I just don't think it was going to happen with, again, how close these teams were. And I think even if the Sixers win Game 6, I don't know if they have it in them to go win Game 7 in the Garden as well, because I just think winning 3 in a row in the series is going to be almost impossible, in my opinion.
You're probably right, but you never know. But it was also too much for us to ask number 12 to score 3 points in a game.
Good freaking riddance to that guy.
He's out.
Because you know what? And you're right, Chris. The more I thought about it after your text messages, it's almost like we gave this guy a pass because we know he sucked. And he still was a max contract player. He averaged 9 points. He scored 54 points in the entire series. Joel Embiid had 50 in a game. Yeah. And we give him a pass because it's just like, oh, it's Tobias. Like, that's what we expected.
And that's lame. Right. And that's been loser energy by all of us to do that, because you're exactly right. We gave him a pass because we knew he wasn't worth a damn. And that's not cool. That's not the way to go. And we were all guilty of it. And then he bit us ultimately in the ass at the end, like no one else possibly could other than Tobias. Even Ben didn't do that.
And when we're dedicating 33% of our cap to one player who gives us 0 points, it's hard to make up for that at the end of the day.
And 2 shots.
2 shots.
You could, we're all human. You could have a bad game, go 0 for 11, whatever. Brother gave us 2 shots. I could do 2 shots right now at this
And he
bar.
took the one in the fourth quarter, and you could hear the whole crowd be like, "No!"
I told you, it got to the point where it was literally like a playground game. People were in the crowd literally saying, "Pass the ball," every time he got the ball. Nobody
Well, he
wanted
did
to
that.
shoot.
All right, can we fix these guys?
Yeah,
Are they
so let's
fixable?
get into it.
Are they fixable?
We mentioned, listen, we've talked about many times, this was considered a gap year as the Sixers really set themselves up to be players this year in free agency and clear their roster. Here's what we have under contract at this moment. Joel Embiid next year, $51.4 million on his deal. Paul Reed, 7.7, not guaranteed. So if they want to release him, they can release him. Jeff Dowden, 2.1 million. That's a club option, so they can get rid of that as well. And Ricky Council at 1.8 million, not guaranteed. Those are the guys that are under contract at this moment. It's assumed to the point that Tyrese Maxey will sign a 5-year, $205 million contract with $35 million due in year 1. The salary cap's projected $142 million. So if you do the math, the Sixers have roughly $60 million to pay, as they'll pay Maxey after these other guys sign that we presumably are going to bring in, as the NBA allows you to re-sign your players and go over the cap. I asked each of you, or Chris, you actually came up with the idea to have your plan to fix the Sixers. So why don't you start, since you came up with the idea, and then we'll counter and we'll have the discussion.
So first of all, if you weren't aware of it or heard of it earlier today, Daryl Morey did speak to the media. He did say that the number one need that they have was a wing that could, quote, produce and score in the playoffs. And he also said that he warned that there would be, quote, no continuity with roster other than Embiid, Maxey, and Nick Nurse coming in the next season. So he's ready to just throw everybody off the boat.
Yeah, what did Ricky Council do?
What?
He don't deserve.
Hey, Ricky could have got a minute or two, and then Paul Reed minutes at that point. I mean, I'd rather have that and see what he could do for you. He's a dog. Right. We'll see what happens. But nonetheless, so that's kind of what's happened with Daryl Morey. So my logic was, let's have some fun with it. Let's see what we could do. Let's see who could fix the Sixers among the three of us. Or maybe we could do it all together. Here's what I have, all right? So, obviously, you have Embiid for, what was the number again? 51? Yeah. Maxey's going to be around, what was it, per year? 36, you think?
35 for year 1, but that doesn't really come into play again because they're going to sign these other guys before that.
Right. So I was trying to do it with the cap in mind, and then when I was asking you guys about it now, was like he didn't go with the cap. I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm not going to do the cap. Here's what I am going to do. This is my list or my dream situation, not dream situation, but my ideal situation for them to fix the team. All right. So you haven't beaten Maxey. Now, how are you going to make the rest of it up? The big dog that you're going to get in free agency. First of all, they're all drying up. We talked about this last week. But the one guy that's starting to get a little bit of smoke behind him that I would be supportive of is Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson, you can still get.
Wow.
Klay Thompson, you can.
Sorry.
Really?
Sorry.
All right. Well, hear me out. Hear me out before we do the retorts. Hear me out.
Try.
All right. I believe he's around 34. He can still shoot the ball. You can still run pick and rolls and all kind of stuff with him, or off-ball screens, on-ball screens. You can still run screens with him like they did with JJ and Embiid. All right? The shot's not going anywhere. You can still shoot the ball. I don't care what age you are. He can still defend at a high level. All right? And he's not going to be as expensive as some of the other guys that we would go out after. Now, we meant to overpay him to get him out of Golden State, but he's still, with that said, going to be cheaper than a Paul George or whoever else you have in mind, because like I said, that market is drying up. I don't know who else people have in mind that we're going to be able to use that big-time free agent money on at this point in time. So he's my guy that I would put at the 3. So you're going to love this team. Now, the next 2 guys I have, so you have Embiid, Maxey, Klay Thompson. The next 2 guys I have to complete your starting 5 are going to be via trade. How they're going to trade for these guys, I don't know. That's why Daryl Morey makes the big bucks he makes. But I want to prioritize a guy that's a dog, that can defend, that can score, and that can handle the ball. And there's no one better that's also got the age on their side than DeJounte Murray. I'm coming around with DeJounte Murray. I think DeJounte Murray would be a perfect fit for this team. He's a perfect fit next to Tyrese Maxey. And I think that when you put his intensity on defense and his ability to handle the ball, I think it's a perfect fit for the Sixers. And also, he can board. He's ninth. He was ninth in rebounds among guards, which is obviously a big need, rebounding the ball for any position on this team. So that's where I want to go for that. And then my other trade to finalize my starting five is Celtics' favorite player, John Collins. Now, John Collins was 10th this past year in offensive rebounds. All right, he goes to the ball. We've seen what he does in the postseason before when we were victims to it. All right, he's athletic. He can defend. He shot 37% from three. And I think that he's a guy that's not going to clog up the middle as a big with Joel. You can spread him out in different places as well. And you can allow him to run the floor with Tyrese and DeJounte if you picked up DeJounte. So that would be my starting five: Maxey and DeJounte in the backcourt, with Klay at the 3, Collins at the 4, and Embiid at the 5. And then when it came to the bench,
wait, can we stop there for a second and let's give
dissect that. Go ahead. Yeah, because I want to hear your retorts about Klay. I'm curious about why you both are so vehemently against that.
So immediately my thought is they're all the guys they're linked to in free agency. It's somebody posted this on Twitter where it's like the Sixers are interested in LeBron 6 years too late, and they're interested in Brandon Ingram 10 years too late, and they're interested in Jimmy Butler 8 years too late. And I feel like Klay Thompson will be the same thing. And Klay's a guy that I've wanted for a while, but I think the time has gone with him. I would not be impressed with him being the big splashy free agent signing. And I get that you're saving some money by signing him because you're not going to have to spend the whole nut the way you would signing a Paul George or some of the guys I just named. And then combining him with John Collins, to me, is a loser. I feel like you said you wanted
the conference finals more than what we've been to.
He's a loser, man. I look at this starting five and I'm just questioning whether or not this is a team that Sixers fans would want to get behind, first of all, and whether or not they would gel. I really don't like John Collins, man. That really did not sit right with me. And Klay, I just think is on the back end of the career.
Well, let me just tell you I'll give you his last 7 games, Klay Thompson. So he only had 14 versus Dallas in the win, but then he had 29 against Houston on the road, went down to 16 against Dallas on the road. Played Utah, had 32. Played the Lakers in LA, had 27. Played Utah again, had 25, with 6 of 12 from 3. So he like I said, he can still score the ball.
You didn't talk about the last game of the season.
That's what we're getting him for.
You didn't talk about the last game of the season, the playing game against the Kings. He went 0 for 10 and had no points.
Right. So I'm talking about I got the regular season game locked up. I didn't go into the postseason. But come on. Do you think he's going to do what Tobias did? You think Klay Thompson's going to only shoot 2 times in a playoff
Hold on,
game?
Chris. Let me pull something up for you because I want to throw some stuff at you with Klay, who I think is done. I just had it up. Give me 1 second to pull it up here. I mentioned the 0 for 10 against the Kings this year in the playoffs. Last year's Western Conference Finals, here are the games. Game 1 against the Lakers, 9 for 25, 36%. Game 2, he had a good game, 11 for 18. Then he went 5 for 14, 3 for 11, 3 for 12. And then in game 6, the big game, he went 3 for 19. Earlier in the series before that, against Sacramento, he went 4 for 19 in game 7. So to me, that's a guy who's also lost a step defensively. I don't think he's the defender he once was. And to his credit, he blew his Achilles and his ACL. So it is what it is. You're going to have to give him 4 years to get him out of Golden State. And he's already 33, I believe. I'm not in on Klay Thompson at all.
I know one thing. He's got what we don't have, and that's rings. And that's playoff experience, and that's championship experience. And I think that there's not a value on that. I think that, we're underestimating the importance of having winners in this organization. And there's not many bigger, better winners right now currently playing in the NBA than Klay Thompson.
That's like in 97, though, being like, man, we got to get Ron Harper on the Sixers. He's got rings.
Oh, come on. Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah, no, Chris.
Klay Thompson is a future Hall of Famer. You think Ron Harper is on that level?
If you're bringing in Klay Thompson to be an ancillary piece that's not going to get a big-time contract, I get it, but we still need a third guy, and I don't think he's capable of being a third guy at this point, the guy to get you over the hump.
Well, here's what you do. At the same price, basically, is he going to give you more than Tobias did?
Is he going to give you more?
Absolutely.
But that's still not enough.
Is he going to give you more than Buddy Hield?
Yes.
Yes. But
Dude,
Yes.
dude, I don't want any parts of 4 years of Klay Thompson at this point. Man.
all right, Al, let's go to your plan, and then we'll.
Yeah, because I got to know if not, like where are we getting these superstars from?
Well, my plan is you guys are going to hate this. This is all right. Here's my plan. My plan is that Oklahoma City has to get like swept in the playoffs in the second round. Okay, and then who is it? Sam Presti, is that the GM?
Yeah.
So Sam Presti sees that the window is open and he has to get a superstar to combine with his superstar in Shea Gill. And so we end up trading Joel to Oklahoma City in a trade that I said would have worked, I think, earlier this season. So what we do is we sign and trade Buddy Hield and we send him with Joel to OKC for Chet, Jalen Williams, and potentially a pick. Because Oklahoma City wants to shift. Sam Presti needs to win now. And Joel Embiid gives him the better chance to win now. So now we have Tyrese Maxey at the 1. We have Jalen Williams at the 2. We have Chet at the 5. We go ahead and we throw all of our picks, this year's first round, the 2026, the 2028, and the 2030, all for Markkanen. So now we have Markkanen from the Jazz, Lauri Markkanen from the Jazz at the 4. We signed Caleb Martin to play the 3.
I contemplated Caleb Martin.
And then my bench, and I'll just go through them quickly. It's Malik Monk. I bring back Campaign because I liked what I saw from Campaign in the playoffs, and I think we get him on the cheap. We bring in Christian Wood, who took a step back in LA. I think we maybe get him on the cheap. Serviceable center.
Biggest loser in the NBA, Christian Wood, the biggest loser in the NBA.
Then we get Jalen Smith from Indiana. He's a bruiser. He's a rebounder. He can back up the 4 and the 5. And finally, we bring in a guy that can do a little bit of everything. That's going to do anything he's asked. The dog, a former Philly kid, a Penn Stater. We bring in Lamar Stevens, who saw all his numbers go up once he went to Memphis and started averaging 20-some minutes a game.
You knew it had to end with a Penn State guy.
Look at that.
Well, first of all, let me pop a balloon because Oklahoma City doesn't make that trade to begin with.
No way they make that move. Absolutely not.
Okay. That's first and foremost.
Hey, we suspend reality on this show. That's fine.
Yeah, we're bending it a little bit. And the Sixers are not trading Joel. I know we've talked about it before. It's just not. They're not doing it.
But I took this as not what I think they're going to do. This is what I would do.
Okay, that's fair.
Daryl. These are the moves I try to make.
That's fair. All right, let me go into mine. My first thing that I'm doing is I'm having a conversation with Joel Embiid this offseason if I'm Daryl Morey. And my conversation goes like this. Joel, you've won 2 scoring titles. You've been MVP of the league. The one thing we haven't done together is we haven't had any success in the playoffs. And I think what we've saw in this year's series is, and I've said this many times, you can be the best player on a championship team, but you can't be the best offensive player on a championship team because A, there's too many ways to stop you as far as being a big man in this league, and B, you gas out in the playoffs. You have to find a nicer way to say it than that, but you gas out in the fourth quarter of these games. So what I need you to do is to be willing to take a little bit of a lesser role offensively, and we need to bring in another piece who can spark plug this team. And if he's not on board with that, Al, then that's when I probably get on the phone. But that's my first step. Then we need to find that piece to add. And honestly, as I look through some of these guys, there's a lot of warts on a lot of these players. But there's one guy who I still think could be the guy. And we just watched him this week put on a show. And to me, it's Donovan Mitchell still. And it would require Donovan Mitchell asking out of Cleveland, which is not out of the realm of possibilities if they get whacked by Boston.
I was going to say, I think the better chance of that was if they had lost yesterday.
Yeah.
I think so too, but I still think if they go out 4-0 to Boston and lose every game by 15, I still don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities. That guy can go get a bucket at any minute, and
he's not afraid to.
And he's not afraid to. We've seen him do it in the playoffs. I don't want to take a chance on another guy that I haven't seen do it in the playoffs because I've seen too many guys get to that stage and then forget how to play. And when I'm saying guys who have done it, like to me, Brandon Ingram reeks of like a small step up from Tobias Harris. Like that's what that reeks of. Lauri Markkanen, I looked today. Lauri Markkanen is a perfect fit for this team. He's never played a playoff game in his entire career.
100%.
Scares me. Jimmy Butler, again, we didn't want to give Jimmy Butler a 5-year max when he left here in 2000. Now we want to give him a 2-year extension 5 years later.
Pat Riley said today he's not on the market.
Yeah, and right. And he also gave him some shit for what he said in the playoffs too.
And with that being said, he still said he's not on the market.
Right. The other guy that's out there is
Paul George.
Ron.
Nobody said Paul George yet.
Paul George. I don't nothing to do with Paul George.
No, me neither.
And yeah. I'll tell you why. And I gave this. I hate to bring up this comparison, but remember when the Phillies traded for Gregory Soto, and we didn't really know a lot about him. And I looked on Twitter, and the Detroit Tiger fans were so happy to get rid of Gregory Soto, despite the fact that we're looking at him as like the guy throws 98 from the left side. Like, what is there to be scared of? The Clippers fan base and their beat writers are trashing Paul George right now, as far as him not giving effort, him not really doing anything other than shoot the ball, not trying on defense, not showing up in the big moments. Like, that's not what we need.
He's James Harden at the small forward spot. Is what he is at this point.
Right. That was going to be my next point. Is like, if we didn't want to give James Harden a max, why would we want to give Paul George a max when James Harden is a better player and neither of them show up in the playoffs?
If you remember, we talked about earlier this year, I think it was you, Al, that talked about Embiid is like questioning how he was as a teammate. He got on different flights when he was to Miami because he was dealing with whatever he was dealing with. I think he was sick or whatever it was. And we talked about like how the team would vibe with that when their superstar is doing their own flights and all kind of stuff. If you remember a couple years, but 2 years back, I think it was, when Paul George was questioned about that with the behavior him and Kawhi had on that team, with doing things on their own and having their own set of structure and rules. And remember what Paul George said? Paul George basically was like, that ain't my problem. It's a you problem. If you don't like that, that's on you. That's not on me. Yeah. And that's the guy you're going to bring in here. He has never won anything either. All right. And he is a guy who he reeks of a guy who's going to come in here and get his money, play when he can, and play decent, but not be enough. And it's only going to get worse as he gets older.
I'll say this right now. I'll go on the record right now. If we sign him, that's the end. That's the end. That will be a disastrous move because, first of all, I haven't heard one person that's a Philadelphia Sixers fan, a radio personality, television personality that says they want this guy on the Sixers. But all you read about on the internet is that there's smoke to this rumor that he's number one on the list and he's number one or more. This will be the biggest mistake, and boy, have we made a lot of mistakes this last decade. This will be the one that will finally put an end to this era of the Sixers. That move will blow it up.
He is not a Philadelphia guy.
No, not at all.
But let me do, assuming Donovan Mitchell's not available, I think it may be best to build on the perimeter and build around just Joel and Tyrese and put some better ancillary pieces around them. So I have some names here. One, Al, you mentioned earlier. The first name that comes to mind is Malik Monk. I mentioned him earlier. To me, you can probably get him for $18 million probably. You come off your bench, be the Buddy Hield that you thought was going to be Buddy Hield with a little more ball handling and distribution.
You think he gets that much?
Probably also start, but what did you say?
You think he gets that much? You think he gets 18? I have around 14 and a half, 15.
Maybe split the middle, maybe 16 or 17. I think he's in that.
Either way, if we were able to afford that, I would do it.
There's another veteran name out there that I'm not sure many people are talking about, but I'm curious because I thought at the trade deadline he'd be a good fit for this team too, and that's DeMar DeRozan. And I know he's older, but I don't think he requires a 4-year deal. I think you can get him for probably 3. And there are some ties here. He obviously coached under Nick Nurse for the 1 year. I don't know if there's any bad blood for him being traded from the Clippers, but he's also really tight with Kyle Lowry. And those guys were boys. And you want to talk about another scorer, and I don't worry about his game aging because he got an old man game. He's averaged 24 points per game the last 2 years as the main guy in Chicago. You don't think that guy could go and get you a bucket when you need it the most? I think DeMar DeRozan would be a really interesting fit here. I know he doesn't shoot the 3 well, but guess what? Neither did Tobias, and that's the role he's taking. The guy can get buckets, and I think that's what matters the most. So he's an interesting name. And then 2 other guys I have on the back end. I don't think Jonathan Isaac in Orlando, his contract's not guaranteed, but I'm pretty sure Orlando picks up that option, so I don't think he comes available, but he's a menace defensively and can play some 5 if he needs to. And Gary Payton II is another guy who's out there who I think could be just a guy who mucks up the game.
Oh yeah, I almost had him over Monk on my list.
But let me hear what do you think about DeRozan? Because I saw you guys make a face.
I'd rather have DeRozan than Paul George, but I mean that's about it. I have higher I know you're going to say, well, you got Klay Thompson, but I'd rather have Klay than DeMar, but I'd rather have DeMar than Paul George.
DeMar doesn't move my needle. I get he's a mid-range sniper, and he's going to be 35 years old. He's
all these guys, though.
Like I think that Klay's game can translate better the older he gets for this team. I know his price is going to be what it is, but as far as still being productive, more so than DeRozan's. And DeRozan in 2 years having that kind of game, I would be nervous about versus a guy like Klay who can still shoot anywhere in the gym. That's not going to leave him. JJ was shooting out of the gym till his last day and in the league. And I think that Klay is, very similar to that. But I love the Monk thing. I love the Monk thing a lot. He was definitely one of my top targets. I got some bench guys too. I don't know if you guys did. Seltzer, did you have anybody else you had that you?
I didn't have anybody. Those were my guys. I had like said Peyton and Isaac. But I do want to. We'll go through your bench guys. I do want to go through the free agents that are on the Sixers roster and whether or not you want them back or not. So I want to do that before we close.
Well, we can address two birds with one stone because Al and I are on the same page with Campaign. I want Campaign back. Cam's shown he's got that dog in him. He's not afraid of the moment. And he made big shots for us in the time that he had when he played. I want Batum back. I'm fine for a 1-year deal. I'd take Batum back at this point. And the guy that Lowry minimum for if nothing else, but for just having as a third point guard on the team, a third ball handler, and someone that's going to be a quasi coach at this point for some of those guys.
Yes,
but I got to bring Drummond back. Boards.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
can I ask you a question about Lowry because he was a name that tickled my fancy a bit, so to speak. But do you think he would come back for the league minimum in a role where potentially he's not getting any minutes? Because I would imagine if he comes back to the Sixers next season, hopefully we have him in a position where he's 11th man.
I do, only because it's his hometown. It's his city. It's his team, his home team. And I think to stay home another year, I think he'd rather do that than to be out the league completely next year. I'm
saying if a team gave him a contract and it said, hey, you're going to play, you're going to get minutes.
I mean, but who, though? Like Charlotte or a bad team like that he's just going to be a mercenary for just to play and get some burn and then go back home at the end of the year anyway? That we'll find out about Lowry. He might say, you know what? I want to play one more year and actually get this burn, or I want to actually play on a team that I think could win a ring on my way out. If that's the latter, I think he stays.
What if it's Campaign or Kyle Lowry? You guys are both Campaign?
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. At this point,
I think I am too, but I'm not 100% sure. Lowry does bring those intangibles, but Payne played really well.
Yeah, and the other thing too is there's a guy that we didn't mention yet. I said Drummond, but I know he's coming off an injury, but he's a Nova guy, and you know how they play, you know how they are. I would be okay with bringing Sadiq Bey in. I know
he tore his ACL in the end of March.
ACL, yep. So he might not be ready to go until probably around Christmas or the second half of the year, but I think you can give our boy Council some burn till Bey gets back, see what he's got. And you're not going to have to empty the bank for Sadiq. I don't think Atlanta's going to give him a lot of money because of the injury. And because they also are in flux, they got some decisions to make. I looked up, he was third in offensive rebounds among forwards last year. He averaged around 6.5 or 7 boards in total a game. He's got a 50-point game under his belt. People forget about that. So he can score the ball a little bit. He can shoot a little bit. And he's tough. And that's, like I said, that's what we need. We need guys that are versatile, that are tough, and that are not afraid of big moments. And I think that he will be a guy under the radar that I would like to see for maybe a 2-year deal, just in case he doesn't come back 100% from that injury. We're not married to him long term. And in the meantime, while we wait for him, you can get Council some minutes.
You guys really don't think Oklahoma City would take Embiid for Chet?
No.
Really? Like that quick?
No. I think that's a possibility, but not if you're including Jalen Williams too.
No,
So
and not because
You're not getting both those guys.
So instead, I include Lou Dort, my man.
no, because dude, the league loves Chet. Like he's one of the future guys of the league. They're not going to give him up for a 30-year-old Embiid who can't play a full season in their minds. And we know what I mean. Everybody sees what happens, just like we've seen it. We have a front row, but that don't mean that they don't see it.
Yeah, but people might not understand it the way we do. You know what I mean? Like Adam was just saying about Paul George. Like people not in LA are a little bit enamored with Paul George. You know what I mean? They don't get to see him night in and night out.
I mean, I think it's a casual if you're enamored with Paul George. I think it's a name.
Let me ask you guys a couple more things on the roster. You mentioned Chris. You mentioned you want Batum back. If it came down to Oubre or Batum, where are we at?
I'm out on Oubre.
You're out on Oubre.
Yeah, I think we can. I don't know, man. There's something I can't fully connect with him, and I don't know what it is. I think that last series he ended well. He ended decent, but he had some inconsistent times in that series as well offensively. His defense was better than I thought it would be when we got him. I will give him that. His shot is not as good as his shot, I think, throughout the year, it felt like it just got worse and worse as far as his consistency was concerned. And I don't know if he's a winning dude.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is with him. I don't know if he's a winning dude. And that stupid crap he's got that going on off the court with him, like that bothers me. Like what's the character of the player? You know what I'm saying? Like we need character guys too, and like with that dog mentality. And I don't know I can't figure him out. So I'm not, if he wants to get upwards of 13, 15, 16 million, there's other guys I'd rather give that money to.
I don't think he gets that much.
Something about Oubre screams to me when he gets paid, he's going to hit a decline.
Right. And that tells you all you need to know, that we got him for a minimum last year after he had a 20-point-a-game season. Even though he was on a bad team, 20 points is 20 points.
Yeah, but he did commit himself. Like he was defensively, he busted his ass for this team. His play in the playoffs was a little inconsistent, but he wasn't a black hole like he was earlier in the year where he was putting up shots all the time. I thought he did, for a minimum contract, he was a home run for this team this year.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I agree with that.
But you're asking the future. And let's not forget, this dude got into two phantom car accidents.
That's my point. Like, it's weird stuff with this guy.
Really weird, man.
And I wouldn't hate it if they brought him back. I'm not going to be like, oh, what are we doing? I'm not going to, but I would not, if I had my druthers, I would not bring him back. I'd rather have Buddy Hield back than Oubre.
Wow.
He won me over with that game 6.
Oh, man.
To give him another chance at least.
Not me.
Can you imagine a guess? You want a Sixers team with Clay and Buddy on the same team?
Man, it's all wet. It's water out here. It's wet. It's like Bruce Lee.
There's one other name that we didn't talk about yet that I'm curious to see. Where are we at on D'Anthony Melton?
I'm out.
That's a great question, Seltzer. I went back and forth internally with that when I was doing this exercise. If he takes, at this point in the game, because of the back, again, guys around the league see this just like we do. And if he takes a minimum for the back to have a prove-it deal for 1 year, I'd be interested. But if he's looking for double digits or double figures, to say with the contract, 10 million or more, I couldn't do that.
Is he wait, first of all, how old, you guys probably know already. How old is he?
He's young.
25 or something.
Yeah, how old is Gary Payton II?
Older, 31.
Yeah, he's old. Yeah,
dude, I guarantee if you just ask people on the street, they would not guess that Gary Payton is the 31-year-old and D'Anthony Melton is the 25-year-old.
Dude, Payton was a processor.
But D'Anthony Melton he is such an old man, dude. His game, his whole look, his whole vibe.
And that's another thing. I'm glad you said that about his look, Al, because I'm a guy of principle. And that dude, too many times on the bench in his hoodie when we're losing, was sitting there laughing and smiling and all kind of, and that really pissed me off. Not just in the playoffs, even at the end of the year when we were getting bodied by teams when Joel was out. He looked too happy to be there when we're getting our behinds kicked, and that bothered me.
Yeah, I don't want him. I think something's up with his back, dude. That's a bad injury to.
Back injuries are never good. Well, like Chris said, if it's a 1 year deal, prove it deal for a low amount, I'm in. Other than that, I'm out on him as well. All right, but it'll be an interesting offseason. Do you guys have anything else before we close it out?
Do you have interest in GOAT?
LeBron, I do.
I would absolutely have interest.
I do have interest in him.
I don't think he has interest.
No. I think if he goes anywhere, it's Cleveland. I think honestly.
Again,
I think he goes to Cleveland.
it's just like Rocky 3.
I mean, where else do you see him going? Honestly,
He's going
I'd rather have
to try to go to Denver. Or Boston.
Golden State or something.
Yeah.
he'll never go to Boston. He hates Boston.
Yeah, that's what you think. Chasing.
There was I saw Al, because you're the one on the show here that's willing to trade Embiid. I saw a site that had possible Embiid trades, and one of them was to Golden State.
Yes.
And it was, you saw, wait a minute, you don't even know who it was yet.
Clay.
Dario.
Clay.
So it was Embiid for Kuminga, the kid Podziemski. Did they say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 3 first-round picks.
No, I'm good.
Deal.
I'm out too. I was to see what Al said about it.
Somebody said something about Embiid for Adebayo and Hero, but I don't even know if Miami would do that.
No, I don't think that'd be a lot. But I will say this: they like the Warrior, like those two are dogs though. Podziemski and Kuminga, they fit that mold. I just don't know if they would have enough skill set to get us over any kind of hump.
Is Kuminga a free agent?
Not yet. No.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'm positive.
Restricted?
No.
I'm checking now.
Yeah, he's not.
I think it's next year. Maybe it's not this year.
Hold on.
I worry, guess about those guys just being better because they're in Golden State with the Golden State culture and Kerr and Curry. So I don't know
valid.
if you bring them to Philly if they're doing the same thing.
Very valid. Mm-hmm.
All right.
Duncan Robinson, you never know. Maybe he'll find his way back home.
Oh, we got to get it. If we ever have our first pro athlete on the pod, it's when the Sixers get dumped. All right, well, let's jump into segment 2. We've talked a lot of basketball so far. We're going to continue to build on that. The first round has ended. The second round is underway. The Knicks with another game coming down to the wire here. 5 minutes to go, 3-point game. But I wanted to talk winners and losers of round 1. You can go teams, we can go coaches, we can go organizations. If you guys don't mind, I'd like to get the ball rolling on this one. And for me, the number one winner of the first round of the NBA playoffs is the next generation of superstars. And what I mean by that is, when was the last time we were in the second round of the playoffs and we had no LeBron James, no Anthony Davis, no Kevin Durant, no Steph Curry, no Klay Thompson, no Draymond Green, no Joel Embiid, no Giannis Antetokounmpo, no Damian Lillard. And instead, who do we have? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray. To me, the buck has been passed.
Did you say Shai Gill?
Who?
Shai Gill?
I said him first.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah. I had him number the first guy. The buck has been passed. These guys are here. It's not the next generation. This is the generation. They are here to take the ball and run. It has been passed in this playoffs. They are the stars.
Guest, is this like when the Shield debuted and beat the shit out of John Cena?
Yeah, Chet, really, the Thunder is the Shield right now. Chet, Giddy, and SGA at this point, I think, or Jalen Williams at this point are those guys, and we'll see how long they stay together. Yeah, but they look good that first round. I know that the Pelicans or whatever, but they cleaned their clocks pretty easily.
Yeah, they were really impressive.
I was impressed by that because of their age. I think they're the young. I think I saw somewhere that they were like the youngest team to make the postseason, the youngest team to be a number 1 seed ever.
I believe that they're really, really young, all over the place.
And credit to Daniel, I think it is.
Yeah, Daniel. Yeah,
man,
Dagnall.
I thought that guy was just a jobber, just a jag dude. He's all right.
Yeah, Seltzer, I had the same exact thing and almost the same exact wording. I said the next generation. I just said of guards. Here are some of the averages in the first round for these guys. Shai Gill was 27, 5 assists, 6 boards. Ant, 31, 6 and 8. Jalen Brunson, a league high in the first round, 35.5, 9 and 4.5. And then one more that I had written down here, Luka, basically a triple-double, 30, 9.5, and 9. I mean, this is incredible basketball from guys that now they're all 25 and under.
Anthony Edwards was on another planet.
Yeah.
He might be, if not next year, the year after, he might be the best player in the league.
I sent you guys a text. I have them beating Denver, although I saw Gobert is out tonight with has his first child, which is a huge loss for them.
Yeah.
But I wanted to say something about Edwards, and this was something that you said last week, and I thought about. We talked about bringing in a dog or somebody who could lift up the what do you say? Rising tide raises all boats. Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert have been labeled as losers their entire career. They have been losers. And this guy has come in with the edge that says, I'm not going to let you be that. I'm going to take you to that next level. That's the kind of thing that you were talking about with Joel Embiid and with even Tyrese Maxey. And the Sixers just organization as a whole is like, I'm not going to let you fail. And he is the kind of guy who does that for Minnesota because they've been a terrible organization just like the Sixers have been. That rings to me of what you were saying last week.
That's a great example. And did you see that interview with him and Kat after the game? I can't remember what game it was, maybe game 4, game 3, where they asked him about how'd you get this win? And everything out of his mouth with Kat right there, side by side with him, is all about how Kat's their best player. He's their best offensive threat. He's the only player on the team that can do everything. He can shoot from the perimeter, from the inside. He can pass. He can get back and play D. And all he did was hype up Kat when Kat's right there, just standing next to him. And the reporter isn't asking Kat a damn thing. The reporter doesn't care about Towns standing there. And all Ant's doing is hyping up his boy like that. Like, you're right. He's a leader. He's a menace. And to be doing it and getting the attention that he's getting for doing it in Minnesota of all places, this kid's special, man.
Well, I do want to say to back up my man. I do want to say that Joel did that with Tyrese.
He did.
I do want to say he did say that. Imagine if Tyrese was 6'6", man. If Tyrese had the body of Anthony Edwards with the skill that he has,
pause,
where we'd be at. Something to think about.
Yeah, I'm just so impressed with Edwards. Like,
to
me, I'd be hard pressed to not put him in my top 5 players in the league right now.
I think he's probably the biggest winner of all. Like, if we ranked just players as winners, like, he's the biggest winner of all.
And if they beat Denver, then it's going to go to the next level.
Yeah,
I feel like it reminds me of like I think it was the bubble year when Luka had his come out party when he had I forget what team that was. Was it the Clippers that he beat?
Yeah, when he just went off on the Clippers.
And he went off. Yeah, and they were like, this dude's here now, and that's kind of what we just saw last series with Ant. I think that he's here, he's official, and he's a problem to deal with for a long time.
Speaking of going off, Jalen Brunson doing it again, 16 in the fourth quarter, 38 for the game. Knicks up 4 with 2:30 to go.
He's a monster. And, I don't want to hear any more Philly fans hating on this dude, talking about how he's like
please.
And all he does, dude, I can't listen.
He's so tough. He's so tough.
You know what? He is tough, but I hate his game. I respect it as far as like what it's productive, but I hate that whole dribbling around in a circle, waiting for contact, throwing up a ball. Like, it's just cornball status, man. Like, I'd rather have a guy that has a skill set like Tyrese. I'd rather have Tyrese Maxey personally now and in the long term than Jalen Brunson.
Not now.
Yeah, not right now.
Maybe in the long run, that's fine, but not right now.
You think that you don't think that Maxey? What do you think Maxey would do in the Knicks right now if it was reversed?
I mean, I just watched Tyrese Maxey try and lift the Sixers up for 4 months when they had no Joel Embiid, and he couldn't. I mean, he played great, but they couldn't win.
Yeah, he also doesn't get the calls that Brunson gets.
No, he doesn't. But he's not. He doesn't have the savviness that he has as far as his ability to stop and go. That's something he has to learn. I mean, he's 4 years. I mean, Brunson's 27, Maxey's 23, so he still has a lot of room to learn.
I had 4. I know we're not gonna go back to that, but just one thing I didn't tell you guys. Thursday night, I had a family of 4 that had their little Villa Nowhere shirts on behind me, and they were cheering for both teams.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah.
That's what they do. That's the Philly school that Villanova is.
I don't support any of that. Yeah. Let me give you guys my second winner, and then we'll pass the baton to you guys for your winners. My second winner is Doc Rivers.
Another excuse.
Yeah, listen, he doesn't have to make one up this time. It's sitting right there. My guys were hurt. Like, just get another bag, keep riding it out.
Who's the Paul Reed on the Bucks nowadays?
Probably MarJon Beauchamp or Andre Jackson.
Let's not go into MarJon Beauchamp victory tour, guys.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the king of excuses has one right at his disposal. And with all due respect to how much I hate Doc, it's a valid excuse that he didn't have his guys. But God, that guy's just living the life.
He used it immediately. He did not wait to mention.
I didn't even hear him say it. I didn't
Oh,
even
it was
hear
immediate.
Oh, it was awful.
Right after the game, he brought it up. Yeah.
Oh.
It's just
Yeah,
bad luck,
everything-
you get these injuries, you can't overcome them.
I don't even know why I took this job.
Doc.
He's a-
All right,
he's
guess
nuts.
hit me with your winners.
So my winners, I have first off the Boston Celtics, because to me this means that with who's left, you just told the Seltzer, they're gonna just coast right through to the NBA Finals. I don't think they have any threat. I don't think that I don't even know if they're gonna. I guess maybe they might lose a game in a series here and there, but I mean, there's no one that's gonna push them to a 6 or a 7. I don't think that's left in the East. So for me, for Boston getting the path that they've gotten, and they really started off the rip, they were in that position. Like they were just always going to be there anyway. So they're the winner for me for that reason. And also, you guys know I'm a glass half full guy. I'm going to say that to get out of Tobias Harris's contract finally is still a win. And I'm going to take the wins as a Sixers fan. We got to take any wins that we can take. And as bad as that was, that's always a silver lining. Tobias is gone. Paul is gone. Okay. And we can move forward with who we're going to move forward with Paul George or whoever the hell else we get.
All right, now who are your winners?
My first one was already said. We talked about the young guys coming in and taking the league by storm in that first round and putting the league on their backs. My second one is a guy on the opposite end of that spectrum, a little bit of an old guard who the media loves to trash, a guy who never fits in anywhere he goes anymore, and that's Kyrie Irving.
Now I was saying him too. Yeah,
Kyrie Irving is a big winner in this series, aka what's his basketball reference nickname? Do you know?
Kyrie? Oh man, I don't know. I haven't checked it out in a minute.
World be flat.
Brilliant.
Kyrie averaged almost 26, 5, and 6 for the series, almost 2 steals a game, 45% from 3. He had 2 30-point games. He had a 40-point game in a losing effort. But he finally looks like the Mavs finally look like they found a way for Kyrie to be the yin to Luka's yang. They look like they've gelled in the backcourt together. They look like the best, possibly they could be the best backcourt left in the playoffs, the two of them. So I think that he has done a great job in re-cementing himself as one of the premier guards in the NBA.
Al, he's been on the court, he's been great, but off the court, he's been quiet as a mouse.
Yep.
And that's what you need. He has been a non-issue off the court, and he's focusing, and the team is focusing on his play, and that's why they've been so successful. So I don't know if he's spraying sage out there in Dallas or what, but
it's also easier when you're winning. When you're winning games, the media is going to latch on to all these little nuances and quirks that you have and turn them into these big, look at the bullshit Kyrie's pulling now. Like they're winning games, so now that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Those 2 Western Conference series are going to be must-see TV with Oklahoma City and Dallas and then Minnesota and Denver. Those are 4 just fantastic basketball teams.
Yeah. Two small markets too. Good for them. Well,
3 and going into the champions dungeon and taking a win out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So man, how electric would a Minnesota OKC Western Conference Finals be?
Oh, I would like for TV, but like most people would hate it. But those stars playing against each other would be awesome.
I don't
Just
know.
from a market standpoint, I would say.
Yeah, the NBA would hate it. From
right,
a market
that's what I meant.
But true fans, that's a really fun series.
Yeah, it should be awesome. But hopefully, it gets to that point.
We never knew we needed.
All right, my losers quickly, and then we'll jump forward. The Los Angeles Clippers and the Phoenix Suns are both my 2 losers because they're 2 organizations that really don't have a ton of path or flexibility. The Clippers again have all of a sudden jumped the gun on the Kawhi Leonard extension, and again he leaves them hanging in the playoffs without being able to play. The Phoenix Suns, it's time probably to have a Kevin Durant discussion. The guy has won 1 playoff series the last 3 years. He's been outplayed by Jason Tatum. He's been outplayed by Anthony Edwards. He's still a great player, but he's probably not the kind of guy who's going to lead you to a championship at this point in his career. So
you're missing the main thing with Phoenix.
Bradley
Beal's contract.
Bradley Beal contract we've talked about. It's the worst, one of the worst. It's a worse contract than Tobias.
Yeah.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
He barely averaged 16 points that series. Let me ask you guys this. If Devin Booker pushes the trade button, how interested would you be in bringing him in?
100. I would love to bring him in, but I don't think
1000%.
you bring him in without trading Joel, which I would be open. I'd be open to discussing at that point.
That's what I'm alluding to. That was my original roster that I put together in the first segment. Was I had Book, but I thought about it, and Book has a little bit of, and I love Book. You guys know I love Book. I think he's going to score 100 points in an NBA game. He has a little bit of a stink to him, and I would worry about him jumping from one big three to potentially another one if we put him, Maxey, another guy together. I just don't know if he wants to do that. Like, I think he wants to be the man wherever he plays.
I think that you're talking about the wrong guy. I think that they would want Maxey in that deal, not Joel.
I think if they were trading Booker, Durant would push for Embiid because Durant and Embiid have this weird. They really respect each other, and I think they have this. I think they're aligned to play with each other at some point because of
trolls. That's why they love trolling people.
I don't know if you could. I mean, does Tyrese and Devin Booker in the same backcourt work?
Yeah, I think so. Why wouldn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if I feel like they're the same dude.
They would wear a defense out.
I mean,
those two.
And Booker played with Chris Paul. I know Maxey's not Chris Paul, but
no, well, Paul's more of a pure point guard at this point. I mean,
right.
he always has been, but I mean, Maxey is. You know how I feel about the point guard situation with Maxey. He's not a point guard. He's a combo guard that can handle the ball when you need him to handle it, but he's not a point guard.
But neither
is Devin Booker, though.
Why are you okay with Donovan Mitchell then? To me, Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker are similar styles of play.
I think Mitchell's more of a point guard than Booker is. I would be more confident to have. I'd be more confident to have Mitchell handling the ball in a playoff game as the point with Maxey off the ball than I would with Booker doing it. And plus, like Al just said, I agree. There is a little bit of a stink with Devin, a little bit of a shart, a little bit. You don't know if it came out or not. You got to check it out. You know,
weird too though with the way Nurse runs the offense. Anybody can bring the damn ball up.
True.
Yeah.
True. But I think Max is going to adjust. I think he's going to be a lot better against that next year. But I would think that Phoenix would want Tyrese back for Booker, in my opinion. Personally. But you might be right, Seltzer. You might KD. What about KD for Joel?
No. I just said I think KD's second tier at this point. Again, like what has KD won what has KD won ever without Steph Curry?
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole other conversation.
That is a whole other conversation.
You're right.
Can I do my losers next? Because that's one of mine, Seltzer. I actually have big threes as a loser because I had the Suns, the Clippers with you obviously mentioned Kawhi and you mentioned Paul George. You didn't mention James Harden. That was supposed to be their big three. And then I even clumped the Bucks in with this big three with Giannis, Dame, and Chris Middleton. Even though it's like a big 2.5, if we're being honest, in Milwaukee. Well, you could have counted Doc as the third part of that big three.
Well, so I guess you're out on changing the name to the big three in the Keystone.
I am out on that. I am out.
We're a big three.
But Al, if that's the case, like, are the Sixers making that same mistake with Embiid, Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Embiid, Maxey, Paul George, etc.? Like, should we just be building around those two guys and trying to put better pieces around them?
No, you may have a choice. You may have a choice the way this market's shaping up.
I'm with you, Adam, though, is I think Embiid needs to take such a step back where he doesn't have to be the centerpiece. He doesn't have to be relied upon to be a 35, 40-point point game a night kind of guy, where if you have now Donovan and you have Tyrese Maxey, they can shoulder the load. My second loser in the playoffs so far is coaches on the sidelines because we got Chris Finch getting his patellar tendon ruptured, and then we got Nick Nurse just hurting his hand just because of Philly stress, which we've all been there. If you've been a Philly sports fan, you've definitely incurred an injury from punching something or slapping something or kicking something because of something your team did or did not do when you're watching them play. So I got coaches as a loser.
I like that. That's funny.
Well, the other thing too with the big three thing is the three of us as a big three ourselves all had the Clippers as losers. So I guess that's we have that in agreement. Just getting those three, Harden, Kawhi, Paul, like they're just Kawhi, like you said, Seltzer. He left them with that stupid ass look on his face again. Didn't really care. Didn't show any emotion. Didn't really fight to get back on that court for that series. I'm over those guys. Those guys are dogs in the worst way, not in the good way. And then my other loser is the Knicks fans. I hate those two. Dude, I can't tell you how bad I hate those people. Like, there was one guy, actually two guys. There's one guy that sat in our row and one guy that sat in front of us that were by themselves and chilled the whole game, and I respect that. I do. But 99.9% of those people are the most obnoxious. I can't even put into words the ridiculousness of things I heard, things I saw, and they're well known and notorious throughout the league for doing this. We just kind of were, I guess, late to the party, or we at least didn't know how bad it was. I'm here to tell you it is worse than what we thought it was. They are obnoxious. So I hope they go out and choke a 3-0 lead and lose in 7 games to the Pacers.
Yes, that I don't know if you saw him because you were there. That jackass in the orange shirt on the near side on the television broadcast that was jumping onto the court.
Dude, they're a whole different kind of cat.
He was brutal because you could tell he was such a dork too. Yeah. And then finally security came over and definitely told him, like, yo, dude, chill out, like sit down.
Yeah. I mean, they had police officers around the Wilt statue and all that to prevent that fiasco from happening again and stuff. And for the most part, the plan for Game 6 worked. With the fan control, with the tickets, the sales, with the 2,000 tickets and all that stuff. It was not nearly as bad of a presence live as it was in games 3 and 4. But it was still, I mean, I'll never forget that game 4, man. That was like Sodom and Gomorrah. Like it was awful. And that's coming from diehard Philadelphia sports fans. We're saying that.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, but listen, the NBA playoffs, at least, like I said, these games have been exciting for the most part. The Western Conference should be fantastic. More to come on that. But it's time to jump into segment 3. The Kentucky Derby was this past weekend. We didn't get a chance to discuss it last week.
I'm so mad. I hit Mystic Dan. I'm so mad. I'm sorry. I apologize to the listeners. That's on me. That's my
money. That's money that's left on the table, dude.
Yes. And you know what they say, guest, as a gambler? The only thing worse than money lost is money not won.
Well, we figured we'd put Chris on the spot to lead the charge into a game for me versus Al. So it's going to be Urban Dictionary terms or Kentucky Derby horses. Am I correct there? That's where we're going?
Yeah, so the game is I'm going to say a name, and it's going to be either a Derby horse from whenever. It could be this year, could be of yesteryear. Or it's going to be an off-the-wall term of Urban Dictionary. Now, for those who don't know Urban Dictionary, there's only so much I can tell you. I would highly suggest that you kind of look it up on your own time because you'll probably end up going down a well where you won't be able to get out of it because the stuff that you're going to find is going to be hilarious and you're going to be crying from laughter. So that's
intended with good intentions. It was supposed to be a website where if you didn't know what a slang term meant, you would go there and it would define that slang term for you. But
correct. And then just like anything else in America, it went off the rails.
Right. Now, before you start, Chris, I got the name for the segment. What's the name for this? Do you know?
Well, what do you got?
Horse or bull?
All right.
There it is. Seltzer, I don't know how big of a Kentucky Derby guy you are or
I'm not a Derby guy or an Urban Dictionary guy. What was your odds in the WrestleMania trivia, the wrestling trivia?
Yeah, big, like minus 2.
Double that. I would double that for you on this one.
All right, I'm a pretty big Derby guy.
Well, yeah, I mean, so and these are tough. These are tough. You never know what the hell's going to come out of these. All right, you guys ready?
Let's go.
Shoot.
So the first one is Riding Miss Daisy. Not Driving Miss Daisy as the Oscar award-winning film, but Riding Miss Daisy. Is that a Derby horse or is that a Urban Dictionary term?
Are we taking turns? What are we doing here?
Yeah, you take turns. Al, you go first. What do you think?
I think that's an Urban Dictionary term.
I'm going to go horse.
So what's your logic with the Urban Dictionary term, Al? What do you think?
I feel like I would recognize this name, and I just don't recognize the name. If it
All
was
right, Seltzer, you said it's a horse.
I'm gonna go horse.
Seltzer's on the board. It is a horse. So riding Miss Daisy was a participant in the Kentucky Derby in 2004.
oh wow, okay.
Yes, it was. So Seltzer's on the board here, 1-0. All right. Next one. Odor in the court.
Come on, man.
I told you this is gonna be a wild segment. I'm already crying. Odor in the court, gentlemen. Is that a derby word?
That's got to be an Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, dude, that has to be.
Odor, you're both saying the Urban Dictionary?
Yes.
All right. Odor in the court was a 1996 participant in the Kentucky Derby. I you know what, and it's lazy on my part. I should have probably looked up also what they finished.
Yeah, I was just
what
gonna ask that.
positioning was. Because I don't even know if that brother even finished the race or not. I don't know. But he was a horse. So man, my eyes are already gonna be an issue here crying. All right, so number 3, still 1-0 Adam here. Shexting.
Shexting?
Shexting. Shexting.
All right. I'm gonna say this has to be an Urban Dictionary word.
I legit can't see. Hold on.
I would agree with that. We're due for one.
And it has to definitely, and I'm going to guess that the definite, and I know you said that you weren't going to give the definitions to all these because some of them were not going to be, PG enough. This has to be texting while you're on the can.
And by the way, we probably should give our first NC-17 rating for a segment here. Because this might get a little wild. So you're both saying Urban Dictionary?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, you guys are correct with that one. Shexting is an Urban Dictionary term. Al, you were very close with what you said as far as your assumption of what the definition was. It is texting your friends, loved ones, or even your annoying coworkers whilst taking a dump on the porcelain throne.
That's what I said. Oh,
yeah. So, I didn't know you. I don't know if you. Okay, yeah. So that's you got it. Do you want the example of the sentence, or are we going to just?
I think we got it.
Give me the language of origin, guys.
By the way, the definition was created by a user named Tranny King Tuck. It's wild in here, guys. It's past 10 o'clock. Put the kids to bed. All right. So let's recap. So you guys both got that one right. So Seltzer's got 2, Al's got 1. All right. Number 4. This is an easy one, I think. Clam jam.
You got to go Urban Dictionary.
Yeah. I'm going to say the same.
All right, so you're both going with the UD, the Urban Dictionary. So you both would be correct. I thought this would be a little bit easier. I thought I was throwing you guys a bone here. A clam jam is the female version of a C block.
Okay.
When a girl sabotages another girl's attempt to, quote, get some.
Now, is it too late for us to be able to guess the definition for an extra point?
Yeah, why not? You can go for it. You can go for it going forward now at this point. All right, so you both got that one. So it's 3-2 Seltzer.
Yeah.
All right, so number 6, here we go. I'm sorry, 5. Wait.
Yeah, 5.
Yeah. Old slippers.
I'm gonna. Oh no, it's Al's turn to go first.
Old slippers.
My head wants to say it's a horse. So I'm going to say horse.
I'm also going to go horse.
All right, so you're both going to say horse. You both will be incorrect. Old slippers is an Urban Dictionary term that means the genitals of a past significant other that, after consideration and comparison, are the ones you love the most. So the example that was presented by Duck-Footed Clydesdale is, my girlfriend said she missed my old slippers.
It fits the definition there.
If the shoe fits, right?
Yep.
All right.
Well,
So
the
we're
slipper
both. So we're saying it 3-2. We're going to go into number 6 here. Soup and sandwich. Soup and sandwich.
I want to go Urban Dictionary, but we just haven't had a horse in a while. So I'm going to go horse, even though my instincts were the Urban Dictionary.
I'm going to say Urban Dictionary.
All right. Soup and sandwich was a recent 2021 Derby participant. So Seltzer gaining a point there on Al, going for the upset here officially. It's now 4-2.
Yeah, I don't remember Soup and Sandwich at all.
Soup in 2021, 3 years ago. Yeah. All right. Number 7. Spring cleaning.
I'm going to say Urban Dictionary.
Spring.
Yeah,
I'll go horse again. I'm going to go horse.
You're going to go with the horse. All right, Al, you said
Urban Dictionary.
All right. So you are correct, Al. It is Urban Dictionary. It was not a horse. However, this one has multiple definitions in the Urban Dictionary world. One is a term used by drug dealers or, quote, high-minded criminals to clean up when they get word the feds have obtained a search warrant. And then the other one is I'll say it as like PG-13 as I can, but when a guy licks a girl's butt while she's sitting on his face.
little spring cleaning.
Spring cleaning action. Can be a man or woman that does the spring cleaning, according to the definition. Normally, it also involves other things that would be in and or around the butt as well.
Gender friendly.
Good to know.
So what was that? Al that got that one?
Yeah.
I'm down 1.
So it's 4-3.
How many we got?
We got about 15 of these.
Okay.
We go through these pretty quick.
More?
Number, where we at here? Number 8. Slump buster.
I think you're first here, Al.
Slump buster.
First, that's Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, I'm going Urban Dictionary as well.
Slump buster was in an 06 Kentucky Derby. Slump buster.
That's got to be both.
Huh? Well, you know what? Let's find out. I'll give a point up. I'll give half a point. Let's see if we can find slump buster. I'm in there now.
Isn't that the term when like you're going through a dry spell? So
yeah, that's what I was assuming.
Right?
Yeah, when someone's having trouble getting laid, they're in a slump.
Yeah. Now listen, I mean, we both pick the same thing, so it doesn't matter. But I think if it's a horse, we got to get that it's a horse.
Well, that was a horse.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter because we both picked Urban Dictionary, but
all right. So
can I ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
Where did you find these lists of these horses? Because I've Googled the 06 Derby and I Googled the 96 Derby, and neither horse that you mentioned is in there.
Well, I got them off of
Urban Dictionary. You got them all.
No, it was BuzzFeed, and let me say the other one. It was BuzzFeed and oh my goodness, I'm going to put you on the spot here. SiriusXM article, USA Today, and Police Report, actually.
Okay, so you said this was 06? I just don't see them in. I was trying to see what place they came in.
Unless they could have been scratched. I don't know.
Maybe.
I mean, I could show you the link after we're off.
We're gonna ride with it. We're having a good time. I was just curious.
All right, so number 9. 9 is Panty Raid.
Seltzer, are you first? You're first.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna go Urban Dictionary.
I think that's a horse. I think that was recent. I think that was in the last 10 years.
Not the last 10 years, but 2007, Panty Raid was in the Derby. So that's going to tie us up at 4. That's a good pull there by you, Al.
That sounded familiar. I mean, 2007 honestly feels like it was 10 years ago.
It feels like yesterday. So, yeah, no doubt. All right, number 10, walk of shame.
I mean,
This could be a tricky one. Walk of shame.
Well, we know it's going to be on the Urban Dictionary.
It's just a matter of if it's a horse.
Right. Was this maybe the same owner as Odor in the Court? That just like these risque names. Walk of shame. Dude, who would name a horse that? I got to go with Urban Dictionary.
I'm gonna go horse because I think Chris would not pick something so common from the Urban Dictionary. So I'm gonna go horse.
All right, so you will be correct, Seltzer. Walk of shame was in the 1991 Kentucky Derby. 1991. That was yesteryear.
Like that's like buying a boat and naming it like the SS Loser.
Or like Titanic or something.
Yeah.
You know what's going to sink. All right, number 11, beef walk. Beef walk.
I'm going to go Urban Dictionary for the beef walk.
Yeah, me too. I told you about the beef cup. I think this is probably a cousin of the beef cup. Maybe it's multiple beef cups. A beef platter.
Well,
the sausage.
It is an Urban Dictionary. So you each get a point for that. And the definition is posted by Moist Chunk for Life. Going outside or away from the group in order to fart with less consequence.
Okay. I thought it was going to be when you're walking and you're continuously letting loose.
That's a crop dust.
It is, but I thought that maybe there was a cousin of the crop dust.
So the example was person A says, "Where did you just go?" And person B says, "Bro, I had to go on a beef walk. PF Chang's for lunch gave me the Dolly chicken farts." You know what the Dolly chicken? What is that?
That's what this
is. That a word, a term in itself?
Yeah, this is how you go down the black hole of Urban Dictionary.
Oh my gosh, PF Chang! Shout out to them. All right, where are we at here? Number 12, Sunday silence. Now, you speaking of a potential cousin of the beef walk, the Sunday silence.
Sunday silence. I'll say horse.
I'll go horse too, but I'm not comfortable with it. That was a tough one.
All right. So Sunday silence is a horse from 1989.
Oh my God, guest. You didn't make this easy on us. Jesus.
1989. I'm just going by what the articles that I found said. So I'm going off of no memory or recollection of any of these horses.
Yeah, obviously.
Except for Panty Raid. I did remember Panty Raid. 13. Actually, I'm sorry. This is actually the last one I have. So this is last but not least here. So
upset.
Well, this is worth 4 points.
The 2-point question. I'm making 2 points to still keep the game alive. Ballpark whack-a-lack. Might have saved the best for last. Ballpark.
I gotta go Urban for you there. The whack-a-lack.
I gotta go horse, and I was gonna say horse, and I was thinking it's because of one of the guests is trying to play the reverse psychology, where this is so insane.
He has been reverse psychology us all night, starting with Klay Thompson. So
that's true.
So the ballpark whack-a-lack is actually Urban Dictionary. It is not a horse. However, I am trying to find my definition for it, and I can't seem to find it. So that was a bust. But I will tell you for a fact that it was not a horse. In fact, what I'm going to do really quick while we're all together here is I'm going to Google it.
The ballpark whack-a-lack sounds like it's a sex act that takes place at a baseball game.
Yeah.
Right?
Bring it down.
Like maybe like your team is up and you go to the bathroom to relieve yourself.
Yeah. In fact, that's exactly what it is. It's
your knowledge of the Urban Dictionary is a little bit.
It's actually to go to handle your own business in between a downtime and action of a game.
Maybe a little 7th inning stretch whack-a-lack.
Yeah, correct. So that's your Urban Dictionary or Derby participant, ladies and gentlemen. And with the upset Adam takes the game.
It was a lot more just general guessing than I thought it was. I thought Chris did a good job of making it horses you didn't know. That was the key.
Yeah, when he started pulling horses from 92 and 89.
And perhaps some that didn't even exist. We're not sure.
Yeah.
Well, because I figured if we used the last like 2 or 3 derbies, it'd be easier to just pull it up and just be like, all right. And then like I thought maybe if we had any action on those, it'd be easy to remember those names. So I figured I would just find articles somewhere that just talked about those names and then see whatever I came up with, and that's what we had. So I thought like soup and sandwich. I mean, that could definitely be Urban Dictionary.
Yeah, no, you think
that could absolutely, or Sunday silence. You know, all these really could be, but I mean, odor in the court. I mean, you can't.
How immature is the owner of that horse?
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me? Yo, you won't name it, or like he lost a bet or something on the golf course.
Yeah.
That's how that
No,
works.
it was probably like a 50-year-old white dude thought he was hilarious. Yo, there's something odor in the court.
Some of these dudes are paying millions of dollars for these friggin' horses, and you're going to name it odor in the court or walk of shame?
The horse is probably pissed. Like
We're
for real,
talking
bro.
about it though.
Yeah, I mean that was in '96, so that's what 28 years ago.
Yeah.
Still live. The memory lives on.
Yeah.
And that's with the 90s. That's the like the Beavis and Butthead fart and burp is funny generation. So
Yeah,
makes
for
sense.
sure.
We were all there. We all lived for it.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, but good stuff there from Chris. That'll wrap it up for episode 96. We will see you all next week. And until then, let's drop that beat.
Speaking of odor in the